I know this review of the book probably isn't the greatest, but just believe me, it's fantastic. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I figured it was high time that I make a book vlog because I've been stalking and watching other book vloggers do it, and I figure I might as well go ahead and have some space in the internet world. So without further ado, here's my channel. I figured the first video that I would start out with was to actually talk about the last 5 books that I have given 5 stars to. I noticed when going through the list that my tastes are pretty eclectic. I'm definitely a mood reader, and it's hard for me to stick to TBR. I couldn't do it to save my life. So you'll notice on this list I've got everything from manga to romance to thrillers, but that's okay because I figure there's something for everyone. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first book that I gave 5 stars to, or the most recent, is called The Vanished Man by Jeffrey Deaver. It's part of his Lincoln Rhymes series, and if that name sounds familiar, that is because Lincoln Rhymes was actually the main character in the movie called The Bone Collector. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but it came out, I think, in the 90s or the late 2000s, and Denzel Washington was in it. The book actually continues with that main character. His name is Lincoln Rhymes, like I said. Him and his partner, Amelia Sachs, are looking for a killer in New York City who is known as the Conjurer. This one's really interesting because it features a magician killer, and he's going around committing crimes and doing it with magic involved. That actually bothers the main character, Lincoln Rhymes, a lot because he's very by the book, he's very scientific, he hates all of that magic mumbo jumbo bullshit. So it's really challenging for him and his partner running around the city trying to figure out who did it and stopping him basically before he kills somebody else. I really liked it because Lincoln Rhymes is like this curmudgeon guy. He's in a wheelchair. Not that that really has anything to do with anything, but it is important because that means that he gets really smart ass about his condition, and he likes to make people feel awkward, and that leaves his partner Amelia to walk the field a lot and report back, and their chemistry is really great. So I check it out if you like that kind of mystery thriller, whodunit, cat and mouse. It's definitely you're along for the ride as they're trying to figure it out or catch it. The next book that I gave 5 stars to is The Allure of Julian Lefray by R.S. Gray. Now, this one is a romantic comedy. It was my first time reading an R.S. Gray book, and definitely not my last. She writes the best characters. They are so funny. I would actually say that I laughed during this book out loud more than I actually were rooting for the main characters to get together. I mean, obviously I was hoping for that too, or rather expecting it. So this one is actually a assistant slash boss trope. And I know, that's definitely stereotypical, but believe me when I say this book was so much more than that. So basically, this young girl, she just graduates from college and she's looking for a job, and she ends up becoming an assistant to this really rich guy. Of course, he's handsome and mysterious and all of that. But soon after she starts working with him, they end up falling for each other. They can't keep their hands off of each other, but they decide to keep it strictly just for fun, not any kind of deep feelings. And obviously that doesn't work. But along the way, as they're trying to maintain their distance while still hooking up, their banter is so funny. Like I said, their chemistry is really great. It sizzles. It's actually part of a series, and I did read the second book. It has completely nothing to do with the first book other than the fact that it features her friend and the guy's friend. So if you're looking for a comedy or even a romance that features comedy, definitely check this one out. Like I said, R.S. Gray has become one of my authors that when I do want something lighthearted, I flock to her. So check it out. The next one on my list I actually have a copy of, and it is called Princess Jellyfish. This is actually the first manga that I ever picked up, and it is part of a collection actually. So the one that I got was volume 1, and I think it was the first 10 books or something like that, but This one was super sweet. It was actually the complete opposite of the other two books that I've talked about. And it features this girl named Tsukimi, and she moves into the big city all on her own for her first time, and she ends up staying with a group of other women, and they call themselves otaku. I'm not really sure what otaku means because I feel like in Japanese culture it can mean a lot of things, but basically it just means like a fangirl. And each of the women kind of has their own thing that they freak out about, and Tsukimi, her thing are jellyfish. I know that's completely bizarre. It does make sense within the context of the story, but basically what happens is she comes across this other girl, or this person who she thinks is a girl, who stands up for her one day when Tsukimi is trying to save this jellyfish that she has been seeing and this pet store that she passes by every day. She comes to find out that the woman who stood up for her and helped her that one night is actually a guy. Now this poses a problem because Tsukimi is very shy and she doesn't talk to men at all. Now to make matters even worse for Tsukimi, the guy just won't leave her alone. Not in like a stalkery kind of way, but essentially he's fascinated with her innocence, her purity, and because he likes to kind of dress up and go about his day as a woman, he really just wants to be friends with Tsukimi. So the two of them form this unlikely friendship. Tsukimi is actually very resistant to it, but it's really cute and a little bit funny at times because Tsukimi will sneak him into the place where she's staying, but the residents have a strict no guy policy. So the guy has to come in dressed as a female, and he pretends that he's a girl to all of the women, and they have zero idea. But it's funny because he helps them come out of their shell, and he helps Tsukimi come out of her shell. This one is one of my 5 stars because it was so lighthearted and unexpected. Definitely a slow burn type of story. You can't help but root for Tsukimi because she starts off as this really shy, introverted girl, and once she starts talking about her passion, she kind of comes into her own essentially. And to make things even better, I found out that they made an anime about it, and so obviously I had to check it out.
Found it online for like 12,000 yen, 13 maybe. Jeez, sorry, didn't I tell you last night?
Unfortunately, they kind of only chronicled probably the first set of books, not the entire series, but they wrapped it up, so it's not as if you're gonna have a cliffhanger. So if you do check out the book, also be sure to check out the anime because it's actually one of those that I was really impressed with because they stuck to the book so much. Okay, so my next 5 stars is actually called Look Behind You, and it's by Iris and Roy Johansson. I would categorize this one as a thriller slash mystery. The 5th book in the Kendra Michaels series. Obviously, it stars a woman named Kendra Michaels. I will say, kind of before I get into the book, I had no idea that it was a series when I picked it up, and that didn't stop me from enjoying it. So this one is about a woman named Kendra Michaels. She is a child psychiatrist of sorts, kind of helps with music therapy, and she used to be blind, I think, for the first 20 years of her life. And she had this experimental surgery where she was able to finally gain her sight, but now that she finally can see, she still kind of has her spidey senses from when she was blind. It makes her way more observant than normal people, which is exactly why the FBI want her to help out with their cases. The case that takes part in this book is actually about a killer who has gone around obviously killing people and leaving a string of souvenirs from unsolved murders at the newest murder sites. So Kendra, obviously, she gets dragged into this reluctantly, and she notices things that her FBI counterparts can't see. And what makes this one so great is because she's definitely one of those badass women who doesn't take crap for anybody. It's funny because even though she helps the FBI, she's always reluctant to do so because she prioritizes her job, her real job that is, over helping the FBI, which is always refreshing to see. You know, in a lot of books you'll see with the main character who is a female kind of drop everything to help everybody else no matter what she has going on. In this case, that's definitely not what happens. Kendra likes to do her own thing when she is in the field with the FBI. She doesn't take shit. She doesn't take any directions from anybody. It's a breath of fresh air, and a lot of the characters in the book will refer to her as a bitch. She's kicking ass, doing her thing, and not letting anybody boss her around. So that was definitely a plus side to this book, especially because we all know those too stupid to live Sallys who just kind of flitter around in these thrillers and go upstairs instead of out the door. That's not the case in this one. I will say I really liked it because I did not see who the killer was. That's definitely something that I have trouble with. Even for mystery books that I do enjoy, the ending most of the time is not a surprise for me, probably because I've read so many, but this definitely was not a stereotypical ending that I saw coming, which was refreshing. So that's one of the reasons why I gave it 5 stars. Another reason, like I mentioned before, the heroine is a badass. She doesn't take shit from anybody, and she's written very well rounded. She does have her flaws, and that was something that was also refreshing to see, because a lot of times you'll see heroines that just can't do any wrong and always get it right the first time and all of that. This is definitely not the case. If you decide to start the series, I would actually suggest starting with this one first instead of the first one. You're not going to miss anything or be confused, so give it a try. My last 5-star book is called Halfway to the Grave by Janine Frost, and it is a paranormal romance. I technically think it's way more than that, but we'll get into it. So it features a woman named Kat Caulfield, and she's half vampire, half human. And essentially up until now, it's been her life's work to kill every vampire she's come across. So one night she's out doing her vampire hunter Buffy thing, and she comes across a guy named Bones, and she tries to lure him back to her place, which is her MO, just so she can kill him, because she realizes that he's a vampire. Little does she know, he realizes what her plans are, and he flips the script and he suggests that they team up together. He says that he can train her to help her kill other vampires in the future, but really, even though she agrees with it, she thinks that she's just going to kill him at the end of all of this and just kind of add that to her bedpost notch. What ends up happening, as you guessed, they end up kind of falling for each other, and this poses a problem because up until now, Kat has always made it her life's mission to kill every vampire she's come across. But the more that she hangs out with Bones and trains with him, she sees that he's so much more than that. This book threw me because I typically don't pick up paranormal romances. Not that I have anything against them, I'm just more of a contemporary kind of person. However, I listened to the audiobook of this and I could not get enough. If you read this book, definitely try the audio version because the narrator is fantastic. Her name is Talia Gibbert. I've listened to every single book in the series simply because of her narration. The way that she portrays the emotions both for the male and female characters, and the chemistry between the two of them is just phenomenal. If you're looking for a great paranormal romance or just a series to start in general, definitely give this one a shot. There's action, there's obviously romance because it is technically a paranormal romance, but I can't emphasize enough how much more it is than just that. To be honest, as the series goes on, it gets more actiony, it gets more mysterious, it gets more funny. Bones is hilarious. I can't help but think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I listen to these books, simply because the sass of the main character Kat is just so reminiscent of that time. The other main character Bones reminds me so much of Spike, but just so much more than that. So I know this review of the book probably isn't the greatest, but just believe me, it's fantastic. Okay guys, so those are my latest 5 stars. Hopefully you got some recommendations out of it, but if not, that's okay. Like I said, I'm a very moody reader, so somehow I was just feeling very eclectic recently, where I kind of hit every genre there is. As far as my next book, I'm still trying to figure it out. Hopefully you'll tune into my next video so you can see what I've read. Alright guys, bye!